Hello and welcome. We are back. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you're feeling good. I hope you enjoyed the previous videos I've made. Hope you liked episode 2 of the podcast Sound Design Hangout. Today is going to be a very special tutorial that I think you guys are really going to like, and it's also very special to me. I know I say that every time, but today is going to be extra special because this particular technique, which is making generative ambient music in Ableton utilizing MIDI effects, it's going to be random, but we're setting up the parameters. So we're going to tell Ableton when I push play and I either play a MIDI clip or I'm actually playing a MIDI keyboard or, the laptop keys, you can choose from these notes that I'm choosing, these notes. So I'll probably do like the minor scale or the Lydian scale or Dorian, and I'll say, here are the notes you can choose, and I want you, whenever I hold down this MIDI note or whether I'm, playing a MIDI clip, I want you to basically randomly choose from these notes that I'm giving you. And so we are setting these parameters, and then we're allowing Ableton or AI to choose for us. And what's unique is, well, first of all, this technique, you can push play and it can just play indefinitely. And it's never going to be the same. Nothing's going to repeat. We're going to be working with MIDI tracks, so we're going to be inserting a MIDI track here. And we can use any instrument, any synthesizer we want for this. We just need to have some synthesizer on. And I'm just going to throw a wavetable on here, and I'm going to record enable, and I'm just going to keep it on the default. When I do some of these tricks, before I do like sound design sculpting, I do that afterwards, because any of these techniques, kind of like what you saw in the follow actions tutorial, if you start with a sine wave and it sounds good, well then once you then start doing sound design processes to it, tweaking the synths, it'll sound really good. So all I really need is a sine wave to start off. All right, I'm gonna give it a little release because I like release, and I'm gonna change the amp envelope a little bit. A little loud, I'm gonna lower the volume, which is probably important to do because this technique plays, can get really loud because a lot of notes will be playing. Also, come over here, make sure you're on polyphony, which means multiple notes can get triggered. It's not monophonic. And make sure it's on 8, the most you can do. I don't know if yours is poly and on 8 by default or not, because you can actually save your own instrument presets. So like every time, if there's like a set of parameters you normally have on wavetable or analog or operator, you can right click and save as default preset. So yeah, have it on polyphony, have it on 8. And what I'm going to do here is, as I told you, we're going to be in MIDI effects. And the first effect we're going to drop on, and you can just come up here and double click, is chord. So we got this chord device. This technique that I'm showing you, it can also not be done with a chord device. It can actually be used with random, and then a scale after it to knock it in scale. So what chord says is, right now I'm playing a C note. If I go here to shift 1 and I push 7, it will play the note that I'm playing C, and then it will play another note 7 notes up, or 7 semitones up. So hear that without it? Just one note C, which is what I'm playing on my keyboard. Now we'll put this on 7, which gives us a perfect 5th. And I'm going to come over here because I want it to be minor, and I'm going to move it up a 3rd. So right now we have a minor chord. Three, 7, minor chord. Let's put in a 9 because we're going to do Dorian. And the way Dorian is different is, if it was a minor, if it was just natural minor, it would be the 8th semitone. The 9, which is the 6th, major 6th, that gives it the Dorian feel. Then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to push 12, which is 12 semitones up, which if you guessed or said octave, you were correct. I'm going to do 14. That's going to be the 9. And I'm going to come over here and do 22, which that's the flat 7th or the minor 7th, depending on which way you process music theory if you're into it. So that's the minor 7th, but like an octave up. Ouch, that was loud. So see that vibe? I'm going to lower the... So normally how chord is used is right now I'm clicking one button, but I'm getting this full, robust chord. It's beautiful. Now that sort of gives you an idea of what we're going to be doing here. I'm going to put the volume back up, but we're not going to be playing it like a chord. We're going to use the next device, arpeggiator, and we want to put the arpeggiator in front of the chord. So MIDI is starting here on the left and it's flowing this way, and then it flows into the synthesizer wavetable. Now, if we put the arpeggiator first, that's going to, every time I hold down a note, it's going to output whatever is here in the rate. So I'm going to leave it on 8th notes. So right now, it's going to just, in an 8th note fashion, depending on what BPM you have, it's going to play 8th notes, and it's going to do this. Just repeating the same note. But if I put this chord here, and I'm going to lower the volume, it's going to do that. But I don't want that. I want to put it after the chord, because what this says is right now the MIDI that is being triggered is the note I'm playing, and then another note, 3 semitones up, 7, 9, 12, 14, 22 up. And then that mass, that brick of MIDI notes, and now it's going to be playing them, and it's going to play them in whatever style we choose. So the default is up, so it's going to play the note I'm holding down, which is going to be a D, and it's then going to play 3 up, 7 up, 9 up, and it's going to go through basically like a Dorian type scale. So listen to this. I think that lowers the velocity or impact of it. And then I was just playing one note. I'm just holding one note down. So, and I'm just playing another note. And sometimes it sounds good, sometimes it doesn't. A lot of times when you do this technique, if you play a note and then play 2 semitones up, sounds great. 2 semitones down, sounds good. It's just sort of a good one to know. So what are we doing next? So right now, that's pretty cool, but I want to make it very ambient-like. So I want to like wash it out, and I don't want to just rely on a delay, just rely on a reverb to do that. I want to make sure these notes are long. So right now I'm going to come over here into the amp properties, and I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to play, and then I'm going to lower the release just so you can see how the release will make the notes longer, because I want these notes. I'm lowering the release so you can hear it getting like choppier. And that's cool. I don't want it to be really melodic. I want it to be kind of washed out and long. So I'm gonna move up the release. Now that will get kind of loud, so I'm gonna lower the volume a little bit because we're playing a lot of notes. Now, if you're needing it to get longer, I noticed if you push the note length out here, that can be good. I don't really know if it matters too much if the note length goes first or last, but because I want to think of these notes coming in like shorter notes that then before they get passed into the wavetable, they then become very long. So we're going to make sure that we are not on sync, but we are on time. And we're going to just... It can get really, really long. Wow. So maybe we don't need note length because I think maybe our release is sort of doing that for us. So I'm actually going to deactivate note length, and I'm going to see what we got here. Okay. So what are we going to do first? And I'm actually going to change the arpeggiator. Very interesting, isn't it? Sorry, I'm trying to lower the volume here because oftentimes when so many notes get triggered, it can like give you like a lot of feedback and it doesn't sound too good. So there's a trade-off. You want to play with these settings. So I'm actually going to lower the release a little bit. And I'm going to turn note length back on because I'm starting to get the feeling that this might allow us to dial it in a little bit better. Because so many of those long release tails, they're just going to play no matter what. So I feel like if I dial in the note length, I might be able to get less of that feedback response. I don't know. I'm just experimenting, as is always good to do, because that's what's great about this is that, like, let's just play. So let's do it without and then bring it in. Actually, let's bring the dry wet all the way down to 0, put the bass on mono so it doesn't reverberate the bass frequencies. And let's bring the dry wet up. And so if it's 0% dry, that means you're not hearing anything from the reverb. If you heard it all the way wet, that means only thing you would be hearing is just reverb, and then you would dial it in. So most often than not, you're probably going to have it somewhere in here. But what I like is I like to fade it up so I can hear more of the effect. Okay, I like that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come into delay. Yeah, this is too long. Like, I don't want it to just ring like that forever, because then you get these walls of sound that just don't sound very good. Because I think we're going to use the delay to kind of give us more of our wash. So we've got, and I'm going to come over here, change it to thumb up down. And if you change the rate, okay. So I'm going to go to delay. I'm going to drop the delay. And I'm going to lower this. By the way, this is basically like a bandpass filter. Everything underneath here, from the lowest frequencies up to the highest frequencies, whatever you see inside this bracket, you know, that's the frequencies it's delaying. So what is it not delaying? Well, it's not delaying these lower frequencies and it's not delaying these higher frequencies, because you don't want a lot of super low bass frequencies, because it's just going to get very, and it's just going to it's just not good. And then the higher frequencies kind of sound annoying when they get delayed too much. So this is what we have. I'm going to turn the dry wet, like with the reverb, I'm going to turn the dry wet all the way down while I start playing, and then I'm going to slightly move it up, and then I'm going to adjust the feedback and perhaps the delayed amounts. Here we go. Hear it? If you heard that, it's because I've got it in repitch. That's why I did that little thing. I'll start playing again. I like this little modulation parameter down here. I like slow modulations, and then you apply it a little bit to filter, a little bit to time. What that means is, what this says is an LFO of 0.11. So something that's moving at 0.11 hertz a second is going to be modulating this filter here. Like, think about it like doing that, which just gives subtle modulation. Time is obviously these delays. So if you do it a lot, you can get very interesting results, sometimes musical, sometimes not. Let's throw in this hybrid reverb. So that was really cool. That's just one way we can do it. And obviously we can do some sound design as well, change the wavetable. And then I'm going to do a couple of quick tweaks with wavetable. So if you aren't too familiar with wavetable, watch my tutorial on it. And 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 then we're going to move on to how we can alter this technique to get different sounds. I actually like that first one. Take some filter out. As always, it's good to give it some filter drive. Let's play with the warp. It's very beautiful sounding, isn't it? Go into LFO1, turn it off of retrig, lower the rate, go into the matrix, and I want to apply some to oscillator 1 position. See it move? And then I want to go into LFO2, give it a bit of a different rate. And I want to go in here, click frequency, so you got it down here if it doesn't show up, and then apply a little bit to the filter frequency. So we get these modulations. I'm playing different notes on my keyboard. That's why if it sounds like I'm playing a different chord, I am. So I'm gonna go in the matrix. I'm gonna lower this the LFO amount to the filter down a little bit. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna duplicate this track because I don't want to lose this. In fact, I want to play around with this later. But I'm gonna go up here to Wavetable. I'm gonna push Command D, Control D on a Mac, and I'm gonna close this guy down. So we've got just a duplicate, and I'm gonna arm this track, and I'm gonna change its color. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of the chord device. I'm going to keep the arpeggiator. I'm going to keep the note length. I'm going to turn off the note length for now. And I'm actually going to go into Wavetable here. I'm going to click this button. I'm going to click Return, and that just nulls out. So we've got a sine wave. And we're going to turn off the delay, and we're going to go into reverb here. And I don't want it to be so strong right now, so I'm just going to lower it a little bit. And for some reason that sounds really loud. I don't know why. So we've got our arpeggiator. It's just repeating notes because I'm only holding down one note. And I'm going to come into MIDI effects, and I'm going to drop a random on here. Now what random's going to do is I'm going to hold down, actually I think the random should probably go after the arpeggiator. Let's see. No, our random should go first. I'm going to lower this volume really quickly. Now listen to what happens when I push random. Should be putting random notes. I don't know why it's not doing that. That's interesting. Hear it? I'm going to put it before, see if it still does it. Because the order of operations, the flow of these devices does matter. See, it's just the same one. I'm playing an E, but if I move it over here. So I guess with chance down all the way. See how it's 0? We want by to be enacted. So if you have it on add, it'll only play notes randomly that are above the note you're playing. And if you have it on sub, it only will play notes below what you're playing. But by, you'll have both. And so right now you see this little feedback. That 0 means it's just playing the note I'm playing, which is an E. But watch while I turn the chance up. And it's going up and below. Now if I put it on add, it'll only be this add or the note I'm playing. But put it on sub. So you might want to just note that for later. Let's put it on by. I just wanted to play a lot of different notes. So the reason why it wasn't working is we had it on 0. So you get to dial in. So if you, the less you dial it in, the more it'll play the note that you want it to play. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to keep it on like 67%. Now it's just picking random notes. So even though this sounds beautiful, it's actually not in key. So if you want this effect to be just super random, keep it here. But we're gonna drop a scale. And we're gonna click on this button up here, and that's gonna bring us up to our scales that we have. So remember I said I really like Dorian. I'm gonna double click Dorian, and I'm just gonna go push this on D. So that means any note that comes through is gonna be locked to the Dorian scale. If you push scale, it'll add another octave that it might add. That might be too much for you. I'm gonna put it back down to this. Choices is how many notes from the scale it can choose. So if we push 7, it'll constrain it a little bit. And obviously we can change the rate. Thumb up, we can push up. I don't really think it even matters. I'm gonna push the arpeggiator here and see if that changes it. Yeah, no, arpeggiator's got to be first in this technique. It's got to be the first, whereas in the other one, it actually was the last one, unless I'm drawing a blank here. Let's see what that sounds like with really long note release. Let's turn the note length all the way down, activate it, and let's see what we get here. That sounds pretty awesome. Okay, let's come over to EQ8. I'm going to do some, actually, let's save that. Let's add some delay. Let's put on ping pong, sync it up. I'm gonna turn the decay down. Actually, I'm gonna turn the sustain down. No, I'm gonna leave it back up. Let's see. Let's add this note length until it sounds good, but not overbearing. Let's lower the rate. Let's give it a second to catch up. And let's tweak our delay. Oh, geez. Let's lower the volume. Let's lower this volume a lot. I'm going to lower the decay on the reverb. I'm going to start adding the dry wet of the delay. So as I lower the chance, it's just playing that this D note I'm playing. A little bit too fast. Let's make it a little bit slower. More chance. Let's push sub. Oh man, that's really sounding good, isn't it? Let's change the wavetable a little bit. Lower the frequency. Cut out some of the highs. Lower the volume. Let's put it on 8th note. That's because we have repitch on. Put it on Prism, Parallel. I'm gonna see if changing the style matters at all, because it's only playing one note, so none of these matter unless I were to hold down multiple notes, which I might as well do right now. Good idea. I'm gonna hold down a minor chord. So what's beautiful about this, Oh, I got a good idea. Let's activate the other wavetable and see what happens. Because look, watch, if we turn the one we were just playing off. Let's put the sub on.